Carnival Cruise, ticker symbol CCL. The reason we picked this one from other cruises is obviously they're a global cruise company, so they're not in one specific sort of country region. They're global. So the CEO said that he predicts that most of the cruises will come back this year. So I think that's a little bit optimistic, but I think by the end of this year / next year, with more people getting the jab, more people are going to be booking holidays in sort of the leisure and travel industry. Obviously, that's been really hit hard over the pandemic. But people have been stuck indoors for so long that people just want to go outside and people want to go on holidays more than, they usually would. So Carnival Cruise is our number 4th stock. So if you've got anything to add to that.
Yeah, well, I always wonder with cruises will probably be the last thing to pick up, just because you're in a confined space for people. And obviously without mass COVID vaccinations, it's very hard to be in a confined space with someone safely. I saw Carnival Spain and Germany both were hoping to start cruise again by May. But to be honest, that looks very unlikely, to be honest. There was also news that they sold 19 cruise ships during the year.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, so you can either take that how you want. Either they need the cash because they are struggling, and they obviously cash flows everything, but it looks like it's certainly going to be a while before they can run cruises again. Or you could view it as they've just basically hoping to buy new cruises and just sold off old stock, basically.
Yeah, I think that's the whole cost savings. So obviously, by getting rid of the older ships, it saves them obviously for future sort of debt. Their sales were going up, I think, like 33% each year. Obviously, apart from the most previous year, but it's quite difficult to look at their financials and take into account the previous year, because if you look at any stock, in that sort of industry, they're all down. I think with this year, obviously with the CEO thinking, cruises are going to return, I don't think we'll see the sales they were pre-COVID. I think people are going to slowly ease into this because it is such a confined space. It's not like going on holiday and sort of booking a more recluse sort of hotel, destination. So I think the end of this year, we'll see sales slowly come back, and then hopefully, obviously reliant on the pandemic and seeing how, well it does. Next year, we'll start seeing sales increase a hell of a lot more. And then from there, I think the whole travel industry will just boom from there. And I think we will start testing highs. And I think from there, we're going to see possibly some new all-time highs, just because people will, most people go traveling once, twice a year when they book away. But people trying to book sort of 4 to 5 holidays at a time of the year just because they've been stuck at home. So
yeah, it's like a backlog of people who want to travel.
Yeah.
And my only concern is basically that a lot of the controversy, a lot of the issues surrounding COVID initially were in cruise ships. So is there a stigma still there or anything? But that's the only thing.
Yeah, I mean, the only downside, obviously, if they do all open up, is the whole vaccine passport. And we've obviously seen that with flights, and it's whether cruises will introduce that as well. That obviously, you have to be vaccinated to get on these. But I think by the time cruises are up and running to their full capacity and full sales, the way even the UK is going, I think most people will be vaccinated. I think most people that go on cruises are at least sort of 30 to 40 plus, which is a little bit ageist, but I would say
it's accurate.
It's accurate. Yeah. But those sort of ages are the ones that are, going to get vaccinated first. So I don't think the vaccine passport will have a huge effect. It will this year, but we're still in the pandemic, and obviously with France back on lockdown and a few other countries, we're still in sort of uncharted territory with the cruise ships, going back up and running full time.
Yep. Yeah.
And they also had a rally, right?
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
They might have gone.
Oh no, I was just mentioning that their stock price has already rallied, hasn't it?
It rallied from 1551 and it's now at 1600.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been looking fairly good. It's just, promise you sort of take it with a pinch of salt at this stage, don't you? It's quite hard to tell where it will go because there hasn't been a lot of news coming out about sort of significant changes in how cruises now holidays will work yet.
Yeah. The reason we obviously picked it for number 4 is to get in early, because once these cruises are up and running, you're too late to the game. So
yeah,
you could have got in a better price, but like most stocks, it's so easy to see that now. It's an obvious play. But I think still at these current prices, I think they're a very good price to get into. With a possible 2 to 3x, and depending on how travel reacts to post-COVID, you could see more.
Yeah, the weird thing about there's a few analysts and experts from the industry and stuff where they talk about the travel industry, and specifically relating to COVID, they seem to have these really gloomy expectations, like, oh, it's going to be 5 years before we see travel like we used to see. It's like, I don't know. I like some part of me just doesn't think that's real.
No, I think this year is definitely, I think we have to be looking at 2 to 3 years here to get back to full capacity and the full travel. I think travel will, and it is happening this year, but specifically in cruises, people, need to take steps towards being comfortable in that kind of environment. I have friends that, that's their thing. They take 1 or 2 cruises a year, and that's all they do. And they're avid cruise people, whatever you want to call it.
There are people. I know what you mean. There are cruise
people.
Yeah.
And they're already starting to look to book. But I think the general people that don't really take many cruises, I think they won't be looking at that first, which is why obviously we put it 4th on the list.
I don't know how many people will actually want to sort of be after being cooped up in their homes on lockdowns and things like that, to then be cooped up on a cruise ship. I wonder whether people would prefer to sort of get out a little bit more than that. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.